Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Now, it's a channel which provides the highs and lows of following Watford Football Club, and we're in a bit of a low at the moment. Myself, Jacob Coleshaw, Sam Yuko, Charlie Zazera will be discussing all after Millwall 1, Watford 0 yesterday at the Den. Sam had the privilege of making the trip down on the boat. The first thing I have to ask, though, Sam, on the video that you sent around, or the video that was going around from Harry Welsh, friend of the channel, it looked like the boat was going the wrong way.
So I wasn't actually on the boat. I went out first beforehand to bottomless brunch with friends of the channel, Sean and Kiva Walker, before then going off to the pub and meeting everyone who was on the boat. It was a really, really good day out. What I would say, because it is going to be quite a not negative video, but like you say, Jacob, it's a bit of a low point at the moment. But
all right, spoilers, Sam, blimey.
It was a cracking day out, and look, for me over the last few years, post COVID particularly. I feel like took for granted how good it is going to the football and being with mates every week and having a laugh. And I thought yesterday it was genuinely cracking day out, other than the 90 minutes on the pitch. So look, it's just not great at the moment, is it?
What shirt have we got on, by the way, Sam?
I've got the away kit on from the last promotion season in 2020-2021. I think, no, we were wearing the black kit when Dan Gosling scored the goal away at Norwich, but I thought this was an absolute beauty as well. I love Kelme, and I tell you what, I'd actually probably say the biggest positive this season is that Kelme signed a new 4-year deal earlier in it. So,
oh my words. Do you know what? If you're listening on audio, the shirt that Sam's got on, really, the first game I thought of when I saw that shirt was United away in the FA Cup, and Zinchenko made his debut. I don't know why. That's a bit of a niche reference. And I know Hungbo played that day as well. Charlie, how are you, sir? Are you okay?
I'm great. Better mood than last week, which is kind of surprising. But
why do you think you've got a better mood than last week?
I think last week, we all thought that Val was going to go, and that's there was a bit of a cloud hanging over us. But obviously, that's not happened. We'll talk about the game, which wasn't great. But we've got 2 games coming up, haven't we? Swansea, Coventry. I'm coming down for both, so looking forward to that. Massive games that we need to win. So hopefully we're going to have some more positive stuff to talk about, but not great at the moment. But this is the weekly therapy session, and I'm looking forward to feeling a bit better afterwards, and hopefully everyone who's watching feels the same.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're watching live, please do get involved in the live chat. We'll get as many of your thoughts on screen as possible. If you're listening to this back, as always, leave your comments in the comment section below. Leave a like on WD18, subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications. And actually, I've been pretty bad for promoting the WD18 Cup at the end of the shows. I'm going to do it at the start today. 23rd of March at West Harts with the WD18 Cup. The teams have all been decided. We've got a couple of special guests coming down, and we'd love for as many of you guys to be down as well. So 23rd of March at West Harts Sports Club. Charlie, raffle to come as well, to keep your eyes peeled for that. Some really good prizes in there. Some that probably go down as a bit of Watford memorabilia. Some really nice Watford memorabilia. What's the latest on it, Charlie?
Let's I reckon we should go through the prize at the end, but there's some unbelievable stuff there already, and we're still getting other stuff in. But we're going to do an auction for some of the bigger prizes, which will be online, and we're going to do an online raffle where you just buy a ticket for £5. And if you win, you can get one of the good prizes. So, at the end, let's go through the list as a little tease to make people hang around, hopefully. But should we get the game out of the way?
Let's get the game out of the way. Millwall 1, Watford 0 at the Den. It was Neil Harris's return at Millwall. They were on the back of a win at Southampton. That's back-to-back wins for Millwall. From a Watford point of view, that's back-to-back defeats against 2 teams in and around the relegation battle. In terms of the stats, that's now 5 defeats in 6. Watford are now 6 points off the drop, despite being in 12th position. Sam, I guess just firstly, how concerned were you after the game about Watford's position in the table? Because despite us being 12th in the league, it doesn't tell the whole story in terms of where we actually are in the table, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's 6 points off the relegation zone now. It's not looking amazing, and I feel like if we don't pick points up in the next couple of games this week, we could really be dragged into the relegation battle. I don't think we'll get relegated. I don't want to jinx anything, but I still think there are teams down there probably who are worse off than we are, and I think we probably do just have enough to get a few more wins under our belt. But it is really, really concerning, and it's just football in the Championship, the way it can change so quickly. We were sat here a month, 6 weeks ago after that QPR game going, well, if we win our next few games, we could be looking at a top 6 finish here. And it's just completely unravelled. There are a lot of reasons for it that we've spoken about. Difficult to put your finger on one reason, but yeah, it is a bit concerning, and we need to start picking up points.
Sam, just on yesterday, was that a case of Watford lacking quality or lacking effort?
It's a difficult one because I said this last week, but I've really felt like the last 2 games were slipping into the old habits of last season, where I think if it's clear that the other team, like Huddersfield last week, or this case Millwall, are more up for the fight in the first couple of minutes, winning the first headers, it just looked like we just were scared, to be honest with you. I thought we were intimidated by the atmosphere. I didn't think we dealt with it at all too well. My language, I thought Millwall's shithousery in some parts was really, really good. But at the same time, I don't think we gave them a difficult game, to be honest with you. I think it was probably, in this relegation run that they're in at the moment, I'll probably be one of the easiest games I'll play this season. I can't think of anything we created of note at all. I think we had an XG higher than them, but it was still very, very low. And there was just no focal point, no imagination. I don't want to say no effort, because I just think ultimately at the moment as well, I think confidence is on the floor. Like, genuinely, it is rock bottom. Players don't look like they're believing in themselves anymore. I don't know whether that comes from the manager or because of results, or it's probably a combination of the two. But I just think the confidence is the main thing at the moment. That's the problem.
Because, Charlie, we mentioned on the WhatsApp group yesterday about where we're pinpointing this defeat. And you suggested that it wasn't down to a lack of effort. It didn't look like it was a team that wasn't playing for the manager. It was more a lack of confidence. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, my fears, the worst I thought going into the game was if you could clearly tell that the lads weren't playing for Val. Obviously, what we've heard like the last couple of weeks of the speculation, I thought, because we've seen plenty of times in the last 2 or 3 seasons what a Watford team looks like when they're down tools. So that was one of my tiny positives from yesterday's game, which I actually thought they stuck to a game plan. It was a change of shape, went to a 4-2-3-1. So Val's he's trying to change things up, trying to create a spark. And I thought, I think the first couple of minutes were pretty shocking. I did think that, we crumbled a bit, giving away cheap fouls. Jake Livermore gave away the one that led to the goal. We'll talk about the goal in a bit, but I did think after that we kind of kept a bit of composure, and then I compared to last season's game against Millwall, where we completely capitulated and where we 3-0 down within the first half. I did think we kind of kept a bit of shape. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we were good. I think Sam's got it right about the confidence being on the floor, but I saw at least a team trying to work their way into the game, keeping shape, and not capitulating or not playing for the manager. So, look, the bar's low with Watford at the moment, which I think is because of other circumstances, which for me particularly aren't the player or the manager, but at least I saw that bit of positivity, which I'm hanging on to, really.
We'll get more in depth on those sort of points. I wanted to take it back to the lineup, guys, because Charlie mentioned that 4-2-3-1 formation. Ben Hamer started in goal with Jeremy Ngaki at right back, Francisco Ciaralta and Wesley Hoot at centre back, Jamal Lewis at left back, 2 holding midfielders of Jake Livermore and Kayembe, with a Sprig just in front of those guys, Dennis on the right, Sema on the left, and Bayo through the middle. Now, Sam, there's been a lot of chat. There's been a lot of talk about Ryan Andrews on Twitter, sort of his position in this Watford squad at the moment. And a lot of people, again, were surprised that Jeremy Ngaki is someone who's been out for 2 months, I think, or so, comes straight into the team at Millwall away, despite us having Ryan fit. And even Tom Dele-Bashiru, who's been playing ahead of Ryan Andrews at right back. Val's tried to clarify the thinking in terms of managing Andrews' minutes at the moment. I'm still not 100% convinced, but I understand what he's trying to say with it. Where do you stand on this Andrews situation at the moment? Because it just seems quite frustrating for a guy who's played 30 games this season. He's 19 years of age. He's got a huge ceiling, and the eye test doesn't lie. He's one of our brightest players, and yet we're not seeing a lot of him recently. What do you make of that situation?
There's no reason. I genuinely don't think there's a reason at this point. He's been rested for 6, 7, 8 games now in a row, and he's not. And you're throwing Jeremy Ngaki straight in off the back of an injury. And I know he said, I think, that Ngaki has always been his first choice, but there's nothing to base that off. Genuinely, the eye test doesn't lie. Ryan Andrews is one of our best players. We always look better on that right-hand side. He's one of our most creative, most imaginative players that we have. We're going to have a fantastic career. I got the idea of managing minutes, fine, because he is a young player. Managing his minutes is important because we don't want to overwork him. But it's clear, he clearly just doesn't rate him. I genuinely just think it's clear he just doesn't fancy him, to be honest with you. And I think we all know the writing's on the wall. Valérien Ismaël won't be here next season, but if he is, it won't shock me if Ryan Andrews moves on, to be honest.
Let's read that statement from Ismaël, Charlie. This is what Ismaël said about Ryan Andrews on the club website today. Ismaël said he is one of the really good young talents at this club right now, Ryan Andrews, which is why we need to take care of him. Taking care of a young player can mean sometimes giving them a break from playing in the team. Every player has his ups and downs in form, and you certainly cannot expect a teenager to play so many games at the same level. Ryan can be very pleased with his first full season as a professional. He's been involved in over 30 games and had some great moments. If he keeps working hard with the support from all of us, he has a big future. What do you make of the comments from Ismaël there?
I disagree with them and the decision. I'd be playing Ryan. Our friends from the Rookery End did a really good podcast with Matt Furness again, and I'm not one for going head-to-head with Matt from Opta about stats because they'll absolutely kill me, but I kind of disagreed with him because he picked out some stats about Andrews defensively and why Val might not be playing him. But when I had a look, and I know Lou Orns tweeted about it, I looked at some stats which were favourable to Ryan Andrews. I've got him here, second most in Watford, in the Watford team this season per 90 for interceptions, fourth for tackles and interceptions, fourth for progressive carrying distance per 90, fifth for clearances, fifth for progressive carries, 13th for missed controls per 90, 15th for dispossessed per 90, and he's only had one error leading to goal. Sam got it right there. I think Ryan passes the eye test, and I think what Ryan brings, maybe the defensive stuff and the control isn't his biggest strength, but I think one thing that we're really struggling with at the moment is our attacking. And I think Ryan just brings a new dimension to that. I think he improves kind of whoever's on the right side because it gives them freedom and another option. And I think defensively we've been okay, but Ryan as an outlet running down that wing, making the other teams think. I think that's what we're missing. So I think he's got to be in the team for me because I think when he plays, we're better.
Let us know what you think of the Andrew situation. It's one that, whilst he isn't playing, will probably rumble on until the end of the season. Luan said about the lineup, Kiembe in a 2, Dennis on the right. Patterns of play non-existent despite the shape change. The tactical inflexibility is infuriating. Sam, let's go through the key moments. One in the 3rd minute, Fleming from a free kick. I thought Ben Hamer has to be doing better there. There is part of me which I do have to kind of take a step back and go, if it wasn't for Hamer, we'd probably be lower in the league. To be completely honest with you, there's been a lot of games this season where he's bailed us out. And not to say, I don't like using the phrase a free pass, but he's probably earned us being a little bit light on him because of the performance he's produced this season. But did you think that, probably a better question, because I think we know Hamer should be doing better, did that set the tone for the match, do you think?
100%, yeah. That's what I say about confidence and the atmosphere. I just thought it was a bit like last season that after going 1-0 down in the first 5 minutes and Millwall winning all those battles, I just thought it was quite clear that we weren't up for it. I was really disappointed with Ben Hamer's performance yesterday on the whole. I thought he should have saved the free kick. There was a moment in the first half where he seemed to take his eye off the ball and let it out for a corner. There was a mix-up on the edge of his box with one of our defenders. I was really disappointed with it. Look, like you say, the caveat is he's earned us so many points this season that I'm not going to dig him out too much or want him dropped or anything like that. But I was really, really disappointed with it. But yeah, you're right. I just think it was really clear after those first 2-3 minutes that we just weren't up for it at all.
Alex Ransom in the comment section, Hamer should have saved it, but the wall just jumped off.
That wall's infuriating. Like, what are they doing? Turning their backs. It's so small, which... That really got me watching the highlights back, thinking, what is the wall doing?
Do you know what killed me, actually? I'm more of an EFL highlight man in the morning, and I turned it on. I thought I've recorded it so I could skip through the adverts. First game on, featured match. Millwall 1, Watford 0 for Neil Harris's homecoming at the Den. Alex went on to say, leaving a massive gap in the wall, defeating their whole purpose. Jack says, Hamer's got enough credit in the bank for us to let him off yesterday. Rio says about Kiembe Livermore. All their purple patches have dropped off, which has coincided with our form dropping. Charlie, first half, you come going into half time. How were you feeling about this Watford performance? Because I have to say, before the game, I think this was the worst time to play Millwall. Everything was kind of stacked against us. Our form, they're on the back of that Southampton win. Neil Harris is back at the Den. The atmosphere, I'm sure Sam will agree, was pretty hostile and intense. You've then gone into half-time at 1-0 down. Did you believe that we could turn it around? Did you believe that we could get back into the game? Because I'm going to be honest, I was sat there thinking, unless we get a bit of luck or a bit of fortune, I couldn't really see us getting anything from the game.
I messaged in the group, it was the very worst of Championship football. I think that my biggest disappointment was how bad Millwall were. It was like they got their lead in the 3rd minute and they were looking to just kind of let us have it and say break us down. Like their defenders couldn't pass it. They had one when they were trying to pass it around the back and it fell to Dennis and he had a bit of a mistouch. We were the only team trying to play football. We just couldn't do it very well. I wasn't confident, but I thought, I don't know, with changes, you always hope, and it was just a bad game. And I think our confidence, none of them just looked like they had that spark. Asprilla had a shot where he cut in on his right, but there's no point looking at the stat. We dominated all the stats, but we didn't do enough to win the game. Like maybe a draw, but it's just the confidence. We just needed a bit of magic from somewhere yesterday, and I just think too many players didn't have a good game. No one stood up really, and that's ultimately why we lost.
Sam, second half. It's a bit of a weird one because again, we normally go quite in depth on these matches and on these streams and podcasts, but you kind of sat there going like it was kind of a repeat of what we saw in the first half. It felt like we were relying on a bit of individual brilliance again. And I've said that might be my football cliche on this podcast because I know Sam's the intangibles. What's Charlie's again? We never got there at the end, did we, with yours? Mine's definitely the individual brilliance because it felt like we were relying on Asprilla to get us out of a hole. Second half, Sam, did you see anything change?
Not really. I did think we worked the ball occasionally into some nice areas, crossing positions, but I feel like Jay Cooper at the back, absolute man mountain. Like particularly when you see him in person, he's absolutely massive. I feel like we sort of missed that commanding presence as well. I know we've spoken about Jay Livermore being that excellent EFL player, but I just don't feel like we have that figure like a Jay Cooper at the back who can win absolutely everything in the air next to Tanganga, who's a Premier League proven player as well. We just couldn't break them down, and look, fair play to Millwall as well. They were really, really well organised. You could tell what they were doing, going 1-0 up early and then just sitting off. And yeah, look, not much changes in the second half. Like Charlie said, I thought we did attempt to play football, but a combination of the confidence and we're never going to get back into it.
Ian makes the point that Jacob, Sam and Charlie, you all may as well have the evening off, as everything you said last week on the show applies to yesterday as well. Say no more.
What was the worst performance, yesterday or Huddersfield?
Oh, Huddersfield. That first half against Huddersfield. Terrible.
I think Huddersfield. That was the game where I think we'd all had our concerns a little bit about what was going on. That was the game where I felt it. I know you weren't there, Charlie, but Sam, I don't know if you'd agree. It all felt like it just kind of just exploded into one, really. Like all kind of the bad elements. There's been so many good things, I think, about Watford in the first half of this season. But since December and since January, really, we really have just completely gone down a cliff. And Charlie, that confidence point that we go back to, people have said it's on the manager. It might be down to him. It might be it probably is down to the form. But how do we change that? How do we get it back to what it was? Can you do that under the same manager? Is this a manager issue, or do you think it's a bigger picture?
Yeah, if the manager sets you up well as a team, and do you know what I mean? Maybe a bit of individual brilliance, like one goal can change it, and you start passing it around, and we'll start seeing the patterns that we saw earlier on in the season. Because we did, and like there's a lot of chat about Val, and like it's literally only a month ago where there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, what a great job Val's doing with limited resources." Stuff like that. And I don't think you become a bad manager. I don't think he's made the best decisions recently, but I did think yesterday, like, I thought he brought Sir out in the team who dealt with most things aerially. I thought Wesley Hoot was good again. And then like I looked at his in-game subs and I actually kind of agreed with most of them. I think at the end we had He brought Rajovic on in the last 10 minutes, which everyone said that's how we want to use him. I think in the end we had Martins came on for Livermore. Dennis and Bayo, I think, was still on the pitch. Asprilla was still on the pitch. I don't think Ken had his best game. He got taken off. So I was looking at his in-game subs and I was like, I don't think there was much he could do. Like, he put on all of our attacking players, just that confidence on the floor. So look, it's a bit of both. Like, in the week, it's his job to set up the team and kind of instruct him how we need to break down a team like Millwall or like Swansea. But the players have got to go and do it. And that, like I said earlier, I just thought at least the team was set up well and we were trying to do the right things instead of, because I remember speaking, like Chris Wilder said last season, he'd get the team on the pitch and they'd just completely ignore everything they've worked on in the week. So I'm hoping that we can. You guys said that Huddersfield was a lot worse. Yesterday was bad. And look, guys, I know the bar is really low, but hopefully against Swansea we can take another positive step to see a tiny bit of improvement, and one result could change everything really.
I think I understand what you're trying to say here, Charlie. I think the one thing that's getting me, Sam, is I think about like the last few managers that have been at Watford. Even Ishmael, Chris Wilder, as Charlie mentions, Bilic, Rob Edwards, Hodgson, Ranieri, Xisco, Ivic. And I see so many of the similar patterns of play, particularly towards the end of each manager's tenure. It's that sort of pass it between defenders, force it down the wings. There wasn't really any patterns in midfield or attacks. That's not to say they weren't trying yesterday, but there's definitely a correlation, I think, between the managers we've seen in the past, and these are a different group of players. And then you look at some of the style of play now, and I do see some real similarities in the way we play. Why do you think that is? What do you put that down to? Because despite us this season, I felt, particularly in the first half of the season, you felt we had a bit more of an identity to our play. Now I think we've lost it a little bit. I just feel like every time under a manager, it's very rare that we don't sort of fall into this pattern of sort of, we don't really have a style or a pattern of play. So what do you put that down to?
Gino Pozzo. Yes, there's the argument that Gino doesn't pick the players. Gino doesn't make the players make certain decisions on the pitch. But what happens is we go on a bad run of form, as every team does in football. And immediately we start having conversations about the manager going, about what they're going to do next. And that mentality is seeped all the way through to the club, because the players know the scrutiny is constantly on, and the manager knows the scrutiny is constantly on because of the culture created by Gino Pozzo. Nothing will change. We're going to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again until the owner leaves. We've seen proven managers come into Watford and fail. Rob Edwards gone on to do a good job up the road, unfortunately. Chris Wilder, proven at Sheffield United, getting them up, playing good football. Slaven Bilic, been all around England and done good jobs there. And ultimately, Valerian Ismail doing a good job at Barnsley. I know things didn't work out too well at Besiktas or West Brom either. But no one in world football will do a job at Watford, and the culture won't change while this owner is in charge.
I guess that leads to my point, Charlie, about, people are saying there's not, I think Lewis just said, I don't think there's any correlation between any of the coaches' style of play, but I think there is a correlation between us going on a bit of bad form and us kind of I've just seen so many of those performances in the last two games over the last few years. Is that fair, or do you think there's something different about this team compared to previous ones?
Maybe not yet, but we're saying about managers, and if you're looking at managers in the Championship, like a Ryan Lowe at Preston, they went on an awful run of form. They kept him in and looked the form upturn. David Wagner, Sam would have seen at Norwich, like they literally hate him and they were booing. They're knocking on the playoffs. Like, if we just sack the manager again, the culture and then it shows to the players, look, this is going to happen over and over again, and it's just a downward spiral. Like, the manager isn't getting everything right, but for me, it'd be so much more detrimental to get rid of him. And yeah, there are probably better coaches out there, but he's got two massive games coming up in Swansea and Coventry. Then there's an international break. I think we'll be able to speak maybe a bit more on those next two games. But look, managers don't turn bad overnight. Like, everyone was singing his praises recently. I just think we need to stick through it. Like, we've seen an upturn of form. We saw that Sunderland game, what happened, and we went on a great run. yeah, look, I work with coaches, so I'm going to always back them, but I don't think we've got anywhere far by sacking managers over and over again. So I think if it comes to we end the season really, really badly, but just survive, and it's a decision that we should it's not working and we should part ways, then I think that'd be a fair enough discussion. But I think it would be stupid now to make that decision, and I think that could be a reason why maybe the players are thinking that they can kind of get away with it, and because they know it's going to happen, but it just doesn't work for me.
To play devil's advocate here, and I personally wouldn't get rid of Ishmael, but to play devil's advocate here, you mentioned the downward spiral there, Charlie. A lot of fans, understandably, are concerned that we are on a downward spiral because of the performances we're producing at the minute. And a lot of them, understandably, can't see it improving. And at the minute, I can't really see it improving in the short term, really. And some people say, as much as you disagree with ditching the manager because of a few results, do we need to start to get some momentum ahead of next season? Number one, to make sure that we aren't sucked into something that we shouldn't be sucked into in terms of the relegation battle, Sam. But also looking ahead to next season, because if we end this season on a really bad note like we did last season, yeah, granted, it's not saying, well, to be fair, we were 21st off at the first international break this season. It can quite easily happen again. So what would you say to people who are actually, and there's a growing voice that are saying we need to change the manager and we need to bring in someone else to give us a bounce before the end of the season, like Neil Harris at Millwall, for example.
I just don't think any, short term maybe, but long term, nothing is ever going to change. I think Charlie's spot on, because what happens is, because we've sacked so many managers now, I think the players are just going through the motions, to be honest with you. Why would any of them play for Val fully and give their all for him when realistically he's gone? So I just, look, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm that in or out. My energy's gone, to be honest with you. I come on here every week because it's great just talking about Watford with two mates and interacting with an audience and just talking about football. But and my passion for the club isn't dead at all. I go every single week, home and away. I put a lot of time and money into travelling around the country, watching Watford. But our identity is dead. There's nothing there at all. I don't know the last time I was fully excited to, sit there and watch an attacking performance where Watford played the Watford way. And I'm just tired, to be honest, because like someone said further up, it's just rinse and repeat every week. For the last 3 or 4 years, we've been saying the same thing every single week. And I'm just tired, to be honest with you.
Sorry,
I know that didn't answer the question.
No, but just on Ishmael.
You feel sad, Sam.
I know. Do you know what? Let's clip that up and put some emotional music over it. I reckon I'll get do views. So, what I wanted to ask about Ishmael, do we need to be fair here? And we've praised Ishmael on this channel. We have, particularly as I said, go back to that first half of the season. Something has happened, and I'm not sure. Is it losing games? Is it his tactics? But I mean, there is something fundamentally wrong about the way we're playing at the minute. The style. Now, that's not to say I think we had a clear, defined style of play, to be completely honest with you. But the intensity of our play, the running, the desire, there's those sort of things. It does seem. I'm not saying they're not trying. They are trying, and I think there's a lot of effort there. But surely Ishmael has to take some responsibility for what's happened here. Surely he has to.
It's been rubbish. Yeah. I mean, everything that I praised him for, because yes, the football. I don't think I've ever sat here and necessarily claimed that the football's amazing. But what I did praise him for was that fact that, again, the cliche, the intangibles were back at Watford this season. And the running, the heart, the desire, everything was back. And that's why I was really enjoying this season. But it's just gone. And I think that, again, I'll bring it back to this. I just think the players going through the motions, waiting and expecting for Val to be sacked. And why would they give their all for a manager who's going to be here for a few weeks, latest till the end of the season? So I just think it's the culture, and the club in that way has just been completely destroyed, and it's on the floor in that regard. I do think Valdo has to take responsibility because, like you say, Jacob, something's happened. We don't necessarily know what's happened, but it's clear the morale, again, is on the floor. And I mean, tactically, it's just terrible to watch. It's boring. It's sideways and backwards. And yeah, look, it's just boring, like I say.
Just on Ishmael, Charlie, could you see a change? Do you think it will happen, or do we not have the funds to get rid of Val before the end of the season?
If we have 2 negative results in the next 2 games ahead of an international break, I'd be shocked if it didn't. The financial thing is a massive point of it, obviously, we've spoke with kind of Leventhal about new ownership, and we've seen with transfer activity and how much we've spent, like it does appear that Gino is kind of trying to recoup as much money and sell up. So sacking Val after giving him a contract in, when was it, October, would cost a decent sum again. We've probably spent more money in sacking managers than we have in transfer fees in the recent years. So yeah, there would be financial costs for that. But look, no one wants to get relegated. Again, I'm just looking to see what we do in the next 2 games. One, effort, performance. But if there are 2 negative results, I'd be massively shocked if there wasn't a change.
Okay, let's have a little look through your comments on the channel. So Tim White says, if we lose our next 2 games, and I know we all want stability, but then there could be no arguments if we lose our next 2 games and he gets sacked. Geordie says, Gaffer doesn't matter. Club is so far gone that until there is a change in ownership, nothing will improve. Pozzo is neglecting the club and has given players far too much power. There was another comment from Robin. Good to see you, mate. We gave him a new contract after 8 games. Ishmael would be admitting that they got it wrong if they sack Val now. Alex says, we just look out of ideas. Like, we don't know what to do. Like Sam says, the culture of the club has just disappeared and it's sad to see. I guess the question is actually just lastly on Val. And Sam, I think you might be best placed to answer this because I think you believe both. Oh, well, you definitely believe one of them. When you look at sort of when people talk about Ishmael out and Pozzo out, I think you can be both things. I don't think you have to be exclusively one or the other. I think you can be Pozzo out and you can also be Ishmael out. Do you agree with that stance that you don't have to be one or the other, or do you think it should be a case of, okay, you're either Ishmael out or you are Pozzo out?
I don't. Yeah, look, I think people are always entitled to their opinions. To be honest, and but like I say, like I don't necessarily enjoy watching Val play football, but I think that ultimately the primary issue here is the owner, which is Gino Pozzo, and nothing will change until Pozzo goes. Sorry, I do sound like I keep repeating myself, but I like to say I think that, like Geordie said earlier in the reply, I just don't think the question on who the manager is particularly relevant under the way that the club is being run at the moment. Guardiola, Klopp, anyone could come in and they'd fail, to be honest with you. And that's why I'm sort of thinking, let's just stick it out with Val until the end of the season, unless we are maybe looking for a little bounce if the relegation threat does become a little bit more serious. It is serious already, but might just see how this week plays out. So yeah, I just think it's all about the owner, to be honest with you. And yeah, I just want us to enjoy watching Watford again for a consistent period of time, not just for 5-6 games at a time before it all falls apart. Charlie, where do we go from here? On the stream or just life in general?
Wow.
Wow.
Both we can answer really. Like, I don't know.
Well, how are you looking ahead now? Because I mean, we look at how many games are left in the season. We're on a rotten bit of form at the minute. That's now in. You look at our form. That's 1 win in our last 6. We've lost to Cardiff, Leicester, Norwich, beat Rotherham just, lost to Huddersfield, and lost to Millwall. And then you look at the games that are coming up. We've got Swansea on Wednesday, Coventry at home on Saturday, Birmingham away, and Leeds at home before April. Or 3 games before the next international break in Swansea, Coventry, and Birmingham. How are you looking at those next 3? And probably a better question, mate, to be fair, because it's a bit of a hostile past that one. Do you see us in a relegation battle? Is it too early to suggest that? Or because we mentioned that we could, I remember, what stream was it, Charlie? We were talking about the rest of the season and beating last season's points tally. I mean, that's kind of not looking like a guarantee at the minute. But you also said that it's so important that we don't finish this season going that way and going downwards. So do you see us getting dragged into that if we're not careful?
Potentially. Football is such, anything can happen so quickly. Like we were saying last month, we were saying how good of a job Val's done with limited resources. Could we make the playoffs? And after a terrible run of 4 with 6 points of relegation, the context is the Championship, and we've got teams like Bristol City and Middlesbrough below us. Like, I think they're 2 decent teams. Swansea have picked up 2 wins. It's going to be a tough game on Saturday. Plymouth have shown quality. Blackburn almost got to the playoffs, and then you've seen the bottom teams like Stoke won the other day, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield look a lot better. I definitely think there's potential, but I just look at that list and see there's so many teams below us that at the moment I don't think we're in a relegation battle. If we don't pick up at least 3 points in the next 2 games, we could be football. Do you know what I mean? Or we could win our next 2 games, and then I don't know. Are we safe after that? How many points are we off the playoffs? So the Championship's a mad league. How am I looking? How am I looking at it? Maybe my cliche can be one game at a time, and I'm just looking forward to Swansea. I just want to see a positive performance / result, and then we've got Coventry following it up. So yeah, I think an interesting question is, what do we think those next 2 games? What would be a good return? I'm looking at 3 points at least.
Sam, I'm not going to lie, lads. I'm worried. I just think we could get dragged into it. And I look at our run. And I don't mean to put a downer on this, but I think we've got one of the hardest runs in the Championship. We've got Swansea, Coventry, Birmingham, Leeds, West Brom, Preston, Ipswich, Southampton, Hull, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough to go before the end of the season. I don't think many clubs have harder runs than us. And the way we're playing at the minute, the form we're in, the confidence we're in, the lack of squad depth, we need one of those shock results, or we just need something just to kind of settle the nerves a little bit. In terms of how many points we would need, which is crazy to think in terms of to make sure we're safe. And I don't think we will go down, but we do. There is part of me which thinks we might get dragged into something that we shouldn't get dragged into. I think last season 49 points did it in terms of staying up. So we need 5 points before now and the end of the season. Sam, is there any part of you which does think we won't get that?
Never say never with Watford. I think the 2 games that I'm looking at and circling in my head are the Swansea game on Wednesday night and Birmingham away. I think those 2 games, we have to be winning both of those, or at least getting 4 points out of that. Knowing Watford, Leeds, Friday night under the lights on Sky, we've got results like that before, but I think you have to go into every game trying to pick something. I'm not saying they don't do that, but like you said, the Championship's mental, and QPR going away to Leicester yesterday and getting 3 points, and we just need to hope for one of those results. I think you're right, Jacob. I think probably 5 to 7 points will be okay with that. So a couple of wins. I think we'll win probably 2 more this season. So I think, yeah.
Which ones are we circling, lads? When you look at Charlie, I think Sam mentioned Birmingham, right, and the Swansea game.
Yeah, those 2.
Yeah, we just any will do. We said about the running how difficult it was, and that's why we don't think that we'll get playoffs. And we need to get those points because, to be fair, the running we've had at the moment has been favourable with Rotherham, Huddersfield, Millwall, and what have we got? 3 points from those. So it doesn't matter how we get points, but all I know is if we get a win on Wednesday, everyone will feel a lot lighter and a lot more relaxed. Swansea have won the last 2 games. I'm a big fan of their new manager, who's had a tough start, to be honest. Luke Williams, who's come in from Notts County, he has them playing a lot more stuff. But I think a bit of a positive that I'm looking forward to that game is those guys are going to come at us and attack us. I don't think we're great at breaking down a low block, as we saw at Millwall yesterday. I'm guessing where Huddersfield a bit more defensive. I think we're going to have a lot more space against Swansea, and I think hopefully that will be a good thing for us.
I think what Huddersfield did well was they sat off us but pressed us at the right times, especially when we were playing it around the back. I think they targeted the likes of Jamal Lewis when they got on the ball and then really did press us in tight spaces. Yeah, I think we need a win Wednesday. In terms of atmosphere, Sam, what was it like in the away end yesterday? Just was it getting a little bit toxic towards the end? I heard there was some Pozzo out chants at some point. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quiet, the actual away, and there were Pozzo out chants, particularly around Euston, Euston Station.
Really?
Yeah, there were. But I think the away end was pretty quiet. The most toxic got towards the end. I think Manuel Dennis came over to clap the fans, and fans were absolutely fuming. I posted a video earlier on my Twitter page of it from the angle of a Millwall fan. But yeah, it was a quiet atmosphere. I don't think it's as toxic as I've seen like last season, because I think people are resigned to it now. People are just tired of seeing the same thing every week, every season. So yeah, it was. I think if we do go 1-0 down, do you know what it's got shades of? Another Welsh club when we lost at home to Cardiff last season, midweek. Was it Cardiff? I think it was.
How was it the fan ran on the pitch?
Yeah. That was late. That was towards the end of the season.
Yeah, right towards the end of the season. But with that regard, I know we haven't won the lot. But as soon as I think was it Kaba scored like a bicycle kick, and I just remember it just went really toxic really quickly after that. And I just feel like if we go 1-0 down early, I feel like it could get really, really heated in the ground.
What do you make of Emmanuel Dennis? His performance yesterday. Obviously, he came over and he done the interview with the club afterwards, saying he kind of understands the fans' frustration. What did you make of his performance, Jacob?
Do you know what? I thought he struggled first half. There was quite a few times where I thought Millwall did well in terms they just ran. I don't think Millwall are a particularly technically great team, but what they did well is they just ran and hustled and made it really, really difficult in that respect. And there was quite a few times that I thought Dennis got on the ball and I think he thought he'd had more time than he actually did. Second half, if you're going to play him, you play him through the middle. I've said that from the start. I just don't think he's a right winger, particularly in the Championship. And bizarre, I think the fact that we have Sema, who hasn't been playing amazingly recently, I'd play him off. If you're going to play him on the wing, you play him out wide. But he has to play through the middle. That's his position for me. In terms of what I saw at full time, I don't know if you guys saw this, the clip of Dennis going over to the fans and scenes that we've seen over the last couple of seasons of the fans understandably feeling really aggrieved at what they've seen and frustrated. The one thing I would say is fair play to Dennis for going over because a lot of players wouldn't have done that. And he was taking a lot of the flack when in reality it's a bigger picture at Watford. It's not him individually, and he'll be gone in a couple of months when the season ends because he's on a 6-month loan. So look, he's a guy who has to play through the middle. He's a guy that we know the quality he has. I think that's where I look at Val. That's a tactical decision. That's a tactical decision that he has to get right. Rajovic coming on and his long throw, Charlie.
I told you. I said a couple of weeks ago. There's another one of our players who's got a long throw, but we shouldn't be hoping for Rajovic. I did think Bio done it okay of what he could, try to hold on to the ball. And I know there's a lot of talk about Andrews, but I actually think Jeremy Ngaki did okay yesterday after kind of first game getting thrown in against Millwall. I thought he showed some kind of composure on the ball at times and did okay. So let's give him a bit of flowers if you guys agree or not.
Yeah, I mean, any other players that we think deserved some praise? I thought the one thing I'll always say, Espria tries his best. I mean, there's times where he's getting the ball. I thought in the first half he looked bright. He's getting into those pockets. He had Millwall players around him and he's trying to show a bit of quality. Second half, I think it was a case that he tried to do a little bit too much at times. I'm not really sure what else is to be said. Let us know in the comment section if we've missed anything and in the live chat. Sam, just your overall feelings going into Wednesday. Do you think? I guess it's kind of repeating what you just said there, but is there an anxiety that potentially this could get a little bit messy on Wednesday in terms of the atmosphere?
100%. I think if we don't start well, or if people are, for example, I don't know, if a couple of players make mistakes, if you lose touches towards the start, people are unhappy with the team selection, and worst case scenario, go 1-0 down, I think it could get very messy very quickly. I do think if we go 1-0 down, I think that will be it, because I think the ground will get very, very toxic, and I think everyone will be on the players' back. So it's an absolutely must-win for our season. And if we do lose, then I do think we're probably going to be looking over our shoulders.
Could be a defining game. Just final thoughts before we do a few more things away from the football, Charlie. Just your final thoughts, really.
Just away from the football, really. We all know kind of social media can be a difficult place at times. Just encourage people to be nice to each other. Like, we're all Watford fans, and sometimes after defeat, it just feels like if you've got a different opinion to someone else, you've got a right to be nasty or get personal with people. Like, we all want the same thing. We've had a tough couple of seasons, so we need to kind of get together and rally around each other, really. If people have different opinions, you just respect it and move on. There's no point just digging out our own people just to increase the toxicity. So that's kind of my final message.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I completely agree with you. I think, I've never really understood that. There's obviously a difference in opinion. We all see Watford probably in slightly different ways in terms of the team in the minute, in terms of Ishmael, in terms of the Potsos, in terms of everything at the football club. But that doesn't mean you need to start abusing people or giving them a lot of unnecessary stuff for no reason. And I'd always think when people, and I just advise, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would just be mindful that, you know, people have stuff going on in their lives that we don't know about, and sometimes stuff like that can actually hurt someone quite a bit. So yeah, as Charlie says, just be nice. It doesn't take a lot, and that's not to say, like, we're all frustrated with Watford at the minute. The form is terrible. There's been some positives. When we take a step back, there's been some positives this season. There's been quite a few negatives as well recently, but that's not to say that it won't turn around soon. Yeah, sure, I'm definitely on the fence that I think we're on a little bit of a downward spiral at the minute. You know, if I look at our next 3 games or so before the international break, but that's not to say that it won't improve. Whether that's under the same manager, we'll have to wait and see. Whether that's under the same team lineup, we'll see at the minute. There's a lot up in the air at the minute, but yeah, as Charlie said, I don't think there's any reason to be getting, you know, really abusive and saying some nasty stuff to people online. Just because, you know, it's online doesn't mean you can say it. Let's just wrap up with the WD18 Cup. Charlie Zazera, talk to us, raffle prizes. So we said at the start of the show, 23rd of March at West Art Sports Club. We'd love to see as many of you down as possible. We really do. I know the one thing I would say, it's been a tough period at the minute, but we're trying to inject a little bit of a positive event and a positive period supporting the club and get as many Watford fans down there as possible. Because it should be a really good day. We've got some great guests coming down. We've got some great players. We've got some great raffle prizes. And Charlie, run us through some of the options we have at the minute. And this link will be available for you to donate. I'll put the link to the GoFundMe page in the live chat and in the comment section below. We're slowly but surely getting up there. We've got a target of £3,000, which we hope to make by the end of the day, or at least the day after. But Charlie, take us through the chat. Take us through the GoFundMe rather.
Yeah, so we're going to do a raffle and an auction. So for the raffle, all you need to do is donate £5, and that will enable you to enter the raffle. And if you win, you'll win one of the following prizes. We'll have a couple of hampers, which has got some nice alcohol in it, some nice wine. Our sponsors, shout out to Mad Squirrel, they're doing us a beer bundle. We've got Senior Yuko's doing us a nice voucher for some Watford games. We've got some Art of Football. What is that, Sam? £100 Art of Football voucher?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of vouchers, and also can't say too much, but some lovely Watford merch dropping very soon as well. So keep your eye out for that as well.
Does that mean Sam's going to be modelling again?
Keep your eyes peeled, lads.
Wow, exclusive Yuko content.
We've got a couple of tickets for the Preston game coming up in the Rookery End. One of our followers has been so generous and donated a signed shirt from 2015. Don't know if Jacob's got it there to give it a little sneak peek.
You know what, Charlie? Because we'll get a little bit of the background music. Right, here we go.
So this was it Graham Dare who donated this?
So 2012-13 signed
long sleeves, very nice.
Long sleeve with the Sky Bet Empower Championship badge. Gianfranco on the back with a few names you might recognise. We've got Troy Deeney. I think we've got Forestieri, Vidra on the back there. So a really cool prize. And a huge shout out to Darren, was it, in the end?
Yeah, Graham. I think it's Graham Dare, but...
Graham, mate. I think it's called Darren Meister. My apologies. Yeah, Graham. What a legend. And thank you so much, mate. I really do appreciate it. He
also said he was going to donate £5 every time Watford scored until the tournament. So maybe he was trolling us on that bit. But...
You know what? And let us know we've got 120 of you guys watching at the minute. So Graham said that he's going to donate £5 for every Watford goal scored before the end of the season. Should we do every Watford game they play? I'm thinking maybe before the end of the season. We've guaranteed ourselves £55 there.
Yeah.
Side point: bring back long sleeve shirts, by the way.
Yeah. Why can't you buy a long sleeve? So anyway, James Morris has also donated a signed shirt. We're going to be giving some, and that's like what Jacob just showed, and the James Morris. That's going to be part of the raffle. So just £5 entering that, will give you a chance to win that. We've got the guys at Football Manager have donated some codes. If anyone's fans, we're going to be giving those away. Dan Batman said he's going to give us a signed shirt, armband, and pair of gloves. So all of that is going for the auction. And then for the raffle, we're going to have a signed women's home shirt, a signed men's shirt by the whole squad, and then some hospitality tickets for the first game of the season. So for that one, we'll be doing bids up until the event. So get your bids in. There should be a link, hopefully, live tomorrow with all of these details on there, and you'll be able to get your raffle tickets and get your auction on there. So, like Jacob said, hopefully it's going to be a really positive day. It's going to be a Saturday where Watford won't be able to ruin it, but come down, hopefully meet like-minded people. A couple of special guests there, some food, drinks. We're going to be going to the Mad Squirrel afterwards, and then Jacob's leading us to Pop World after that. So should be a great day.
Well, do you know what? Watch this space. It might have to, has Prism shut down? I haven't been there in years, to be honest. But
Yeah,
I think
it's gone, mate.
it's gone but never forgotten. Though I have to say, it might be even a walkabout job. You just never know. We'll see where the night takes us. Laura says, League One hospitality package. I'm joking. Don't worry about that. We'll get you sorted with the hospitality package on the raffle. But yeah, I think it should be a really, really good day. As Charlie mentioned, some great prize in there. We'd love for as many of you to get involved as possible. And that's no pressure in terms of the amount of donations. It could be 50p to 100 quid to whatever, even, a fiver maybe if we score a goal before the end of the season. But any donations would be much appreciated. Lads, have I missed anything? Is there anything we need to wrap up on?
Yeah, I just want to give a huge shout out to DCW. I was lucky enough on Friday night to go to Football Cliches Live in Birmingham. I think, Charlie, you went to Manchester one as well. Cracking show. Does Watford proud every single time, mentioning Watford on stage as well. So great show, and make sure to check out their podcast as well if you haven't listened to it already, because if you think we talk about cliches a lot on here, that's a podcast purposely dedicated to that.
Do you know what, Sam? We WD18 has just plugged one of the biggest football podcasts in the UK.
The
numbers have got up like that now.
We're massive. But yeah, as Sam said, DCW is the man, and he's going to be down there, right, on the WD18 Cup, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing or not, or doing his managerial.
I know he has coppers. I know he has Copper Mundials. That is so football cliche. But yeah, 23rd of March, West Ham Sports Club. I know I keep banging that drum, but yeah, we'd love to see as many of you down there as possible. There's parking as well, so don't worry about that if you want to get involved.
There's also there's showers, isn't there, Jacob? So if you are playing,
change showers a lot.
So you'll be able to have a shower, get changed, and then relax. There's a bar there, so you'll be able to have a drink. If you get knocked out in the group stages, you'll be able to have a nice cold one and watch the semi-final and the final.
I might even buy you a pint.
And obviously the trophy presentation as well.
Exactly. Imagine Klebs is the manager when we do the WD18 Cup. Do you know what? I've got to this point, right, where if you don't laugh, I'll cry. So I think that's where we'll leave it. Thanks so much to everyone who watched tonight. We really do appreciate the numbers. Absolutely fantastic. And if you're listening to this back, watching this back, let us know what you think. Leave a like on the stream. As Surin says, it really does mean a lot, and really do appreciate it, especially during the difficult times watching Watford at this moment in time. But we will be back next weekend. We'll have Sam's reaction to our midweek game against Swansea. So make sure you tune into that. How many beers Sam's had after that one to get him through it. And we will see you next time. Take care, guys. Have a great week, and up the Hornets. You want.